In early 2021, Group PSA and FCA combined together to form Stellantis, this worldwide mashup of platforms and brands that are supposed to revolutionize all of the companies involved. I wanted to do a video about this earlier, but I thought I'd hold on for a little bit, kind of let my feelings settle on it, and maybe hear a couple of statements from the company. And today I want to talk about, do I think it's going to work, and how is it kind of going to look? So stay tuned. All right, so first off, if you're new to the channel, please click that subscribe button. Be sure to mash the like button for me. It really helps me with that YouTube algorithm. But today I wanted to talk about Stellantis. And honestly, I'm not going to get into a lot of facts and figures and in-depth discussion about stuff. I want to talk about my feelings about it. And we're going to start with Chrysler. Now, I like Chrysler, okay? I miss Chrysler as that scrappy, smallest, the third of the big three, doing more with less, and sometimes coming out with products that were section defining, right? Like the Cherokee, the Grand Cherokee, the minivan, the K cars, the Viper. I mean, they did some amazing things, not always necessarily with the best reliability, but they did some amazing things along the way. And unfortunately, most of Chrysler's history seems to be ping-ponging between different crises. And certainly in the late 70s, they were on the verge of bankruptcy and famously went to the Carter administration and they got bailed out and had a long run of good cars that were relatively reliable and a lot of profitability. Then in the 90s, things started to go wrong. Of course, they merged with Daimler, and Daimler cost cut them to death. They didn't have good platforms, not refined, really cheap interiors, and not good reliability at the same time. They ended up being owned by a venture capital firm, which again starved them of resources. And by the late 2000s, the wheels were off the bus. I'm looking over here, and by 2006, they were starting to lose sales. They were starting to lose market share. When the downturn hit, 2008, 2009, 2010, they lost 47% of their sales in just 1 year. Now, I don't care who your executives are and how well run your company is. Nobody has a business plan for a 50% sales drop in 1 year. And Chrysler actually went into bankruptcy. And part of the bailout was the United States, the Canadian government, the UAW, and Fiat stepped in and started buying up stock. And over the next 5 years to 2014, Fiat got 100% of Chrysler and owned it. We can look back. It's easy in hindsight to look back at this and say this was a problem. Luckily, they didn't try to destroy Chrysler like I think Daimler did, but it wasn't a good fit. And Fiat specializes in small cars. Chrysler had some old Daimler platforms, and nothing really meshed. And I think we could all kind of agree on that. And that's how you end up with this mess of Chrysler products right now. The Ram truck is great. The Grand Cherokee is good. The Jeep is good. They've got some really top quality products out there, but they've also got a lot of leftovers. In a world where American consumers are moving to sport utilities, they really didn't have much except some old platforms that they put under the Jeep label, and the Compass and the Renegade are simply not that good. They're not competitive. I was excited that Fiat came to America, but it's been, by all intents, an abject failure along the way. They brought Alfa here, which is awesome, which is tested competitively against some of its luxury brethren, but it's never really caught fire and become the sales success. It never became another BMW, at least so far. And so Fiat's been kind of constricting out of America. And you're left over here with Dodge and Chrysler. Again, famously, Chrysler has the 300 and some minivans. Dodge has some muscle cars, which are not going to be competitive to the vast majority of the buying public who still want an Accord or a Camry, for example. And they have a really weak mix of sport utilities, like I said. Now again, the Ram 1500 and the new Grand Cherokee looks fantastic. They're coming out with the Wagoneer. When they get their heart into it and to put the resources in, they create world-class products. But there's not a lot of platform sharing that could happen. So I always wondered what Fiat really saw and how it was going to work, and in my opinion, it really didn't. Again, looking at the sales figures since 2014, 2015, they sold Chrysler just under 325,000 cars. But since 2015, their sales have fallen every year. So that's outside of the pandemic. Their sales were falling. So they only sold in 2020 110,000 cars. I think it can be argued that this was not a great merger. So in 2019, Fiat actually approached Renault and talked about a merger. But the French government got all up in the business, and Nissan was very concerned about their partnership with Renault, and Fiat left and then started talking to Group PSA. And it worked. And now they're merged, and it's all one big happy company spanning 130 countries and employing, I don't remember, 400. Yeah, I can't find it right now. Employing like 400,000 people, something like that. And they've announced that they're not planning on any cuts. We'll see if that actually happens. So another merger, Chrysler just keeps getting thrown back to the back, right? You know, sit back there in the back, Chrysler, we'll get to you. But there's been a couple of statements, and I'm glad I held off to do this video. In a conference call, they were talking about the plans moving forward, and they identified Fiat and Chrysler as two independent companies and two of the foundational members of Stellantis. That's really powerful that they came out and said that. That's putting a commitment to, I believe, the United States and Canadian markets. Number two is to look at the fact that Group PSA is a full service manufacturer. Look at Fiat's lineup, and it's small cars and a tiny sport utility. It's nice, probably perfect for Italy, but again, not a lot of platform sharing opportunities to build cars here in America, and not a lot of sport utilities. But then look at PSAs. They've got small cars, mid-sized cars, small SUVs, larger SUVs, commercial trucks. It's really a broad platform. Now, I didn't do a video where I said that PSA has announced they're not bringing Peugeot here. And that's a little sad to me. Honestly, I'd like a little French flavor. I'd like a car with a strong personality, especially from someone who drives a Honda Accord, right? But the fact of the matter is if PSA has small car platforms, you can see the synergy with Fiat. If they've got mid-sized cars and mid-sized sport utilities and smaller sport utilities, you start to see the synergy of being able to develop future products for the American market. They can pull resources from everywhere, but the broad availability of platforms that PSA by themselves could support, to me, ultimately, this video boils down to this fact. PSA was the company that Chrysler should have partnered with back in 2009, not Fiat. I think this is absolutely the right move for Chrysler. I think it's going to be a strong merger. I think that we're going to see refreshed products coming to America on future PSA or even current PSA platforms that are being modified. I think we're going to see an expansion of Dodge and Chrysler lineups, all because of what PSA has available and what they probably got in the pipeline. They've made a commitment to Chrysler, and I think it's a natural fit. I really do. I think that the Fiat portion of it is going to be kind of sidelined. Fiat's not going to be the major decision maker. And regardless of whether this was a 50-50 merger, which it was, Fiat's not going to be the major picture in what happens to revitalizing Chrysler and their lineup and Dodge here in America. it's going to be PSA because they've got that broad platform of platforms. So I'm super, super excited about that. But the other half of a successful merger is not just that platform sharing, at least that makes sense to me, but it's the strength of the executive team. And Stellantis, I don't know a lot about Group PSA. I really don't. They're French. They're not here in America. I don't follow them at all. But since the merger, I've had a chance to read some things and do a little research. And the CEO is Carlos Tavares. I hope I pronounced that right. And then the guy who's in charge of America is Mike Manley. Together, these two have a really impressive resume, and specifically Carlos was actually with Renault, wanted to run an auto manufacturer, right, and ended up over here at Group PSA. And what he's done, they've rationalized some of their products and returned to profitability after years of losses. I am very cautiously optimistic. I'm optimistic, but it's cautious, that these guys are the right ones to kind of shepherd everything through. And when they speak, when they talk, when they release information, it comes across as rational and reasoned, and I believe in them. Ultimately, I think the feelings on the merger are, I believe in them, and I believe in what they're going to be able to do, and I think that the Group PSA provides them with an excellent foundation for it. So I wish them the best of luck. I want to see a healthy Chrysler. I'm bummed that they're not independent, but at least the name will live on, and hopefully we get some really exciting products with a flavor to them, because that's what we need in America. So let me know what you think. If you think I'm totally off base, if you agree with me, let me know below. I appreciate it. Leave a positive comment. Thanks, guys.